Hi, it's Paula from Paula Quilting. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm working from my magic numbers trays again, and I've picked some kids fabrics here to work from today, and also we will be using some solids. So what I will be making today is a square evolution block. It's getting harder and harder to come up with some good names for the block, so please bear with me. I hope you will like the block even if you don't like the name. The final block is quite large, it's 18.5 inches, but it's made of four individual blocks, which obviously we could then perhaps put it a little bit different than in my design, which we will have a look at the end of the video. So for each of that big block I need 4 squares of 6.5 inches. So I've got 4 big squares. I will also need a pile of 2.5 inch squares, so they are like a collection of my 2.5 inch squares from this box. That's all what I need from this tray. From my solids tray I will need 4 squares of 6.5 and 4 squares of 4.5, and you want to be able to pick the same color. So for example, if I'm choosing this green, I also want to pair it up with this green of the smaller square. If you don't have exactly the same color, at least just color coordinate them. So if it's green, go with green. If it's pink, go with pink. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but at least in the same kind of color family. So again, I will choose 4 squares to go with. And that's all. I've got 4 pairs there, but maybe I will swap one maybe for something a little bit with more colors. So let's go with this brown, and I think this is the same color. Okay, so I've got paired them up. That's all what I need from my solids. So first thing, I want to make some 9 patches using my 2.5 inch squares. And I wrote an article, it's available on my website, about what I call grid piecing. Obviously with 9 punch it's quite easy, so the squares are the same kind of size, so it's easy to chain piece them. But if you like to take it beyond just using the same shape of the squares when chain piecing, I would encourage you to have a look at that article. I will leave it in the description below, the link to it. So I'm just kind of making a 9 patch here. I'm mixing and matching everything. I'm not worried, like, you know, which even they're going direction with. As far as the kids fabric in one kind of pile, they all will be more or less matching together. And as I've got it set up ready now to sew, I will also sew my bigger squares together. We will be making half square triangles using 4 at a time method. So let's say I want to have a little bit of contrast between my solid and my kids fabric, so I think this will be nice contrast here. So I will put it face down, and I can kind of chain piece it with the rest of the blocks together as well. So let's take it to the machine and I will show you what I mean. Okay, so I've got my 9 patch to work with, and then I will need to do my 4 at a time half square triangles using those bigger squares. So I'll start from doing my 9 patch here as you would kind of normally do. Take the first pairs to the sewing. We're using 1/4 inch. And then in this point, you know, instead of cutting the thread after this last section here, I will go in and start sewing this one. So here I just want to sew all around with the 1/4 inch allowance. There's nothing complicated here in this step. I'm just aligning my 2 big squares wrong sides together and go all around it. Turn around, adjust your needle if you kind of overshoot, there's no problem there, start again. But I can now remove those ones from here. And now I can kind of carry on with my 9 patch, so I didn't have to kind of cut in between and then start again. I'm just chain piecing, carrying chain piecing. And here in this point, if you want to kind of carry on with that semi-industrial type of sewing, what you can do is have another batch of your squares or 9 patch and other pair of your big squares ready to go, so I can start feeding them again through the machine. Because this 9 patch here, the smaller one, is already held by the threads the way it's supposed to, so I know how I need to sew it later, so I can straight away start feeding my next block. Now if it kind of you know, it's too confusing, you feel like you could kind of lost what's where and how, then just do one block at a time. It has to kind of be your own method and fits your own capability where you are on your sewing journey. There are no rules. I don't follow any rules. I just follow the rules that fit, you know, that works for me and fit my own kind of skills. Maybe I just remove this one with something else. Let's find something maybe green. Do I have any greens? Doesn't look like, so let's put something grey then. Here we go. So like I said, I can straight away start feeding my next block. So this one is now ready to be removed from sewing, and it's ready for the next step when we will be cutting, ironing and then squaring it up, but we'll just put it away for now. And I carry on with my second 9 patch. And to finish off that first kind of block set, I will take my first 9 patch and start sewing this one as well. So as you can see, I'm still chain piecing. I have not need to remove all the fabrics from under the foot yet, which is great. Let's move this one away. Okay, I could remove this ones and start adding those pieces, but I also can take another set of my big squares to start chain piecing those. So let's do this pair together. Take this one out, put it aside here, and I can finish off. I don't want to have too much behind my machine, it's because it's gonna start squishing there. Depends on your own setup, you may carry on, you know, they can kind of fall maybe behind your desk. They're all held by the thread, so nothing will disattach itself. You will still exactly know how to sew it and put it back together. Now I will go back to my first 9 patch, just finish it off. Always have the part you've sewn on the top so you can see which way to nest your seams, because in the first sewing it doesn't matter which way they're going, it's the first sewing, but in the second kind of pass on your block you want to see where those seams go, so you can kind of see how the bottom seam needs to be directed. So that's my second block, half square triangle base ready. I can put it away and I can start chain piecing my second 9 patch. And again in this point I will start laying out another 9 patch, another pair of 6.5 inch squares, and carry on. So you can see you can really chain piece all of those pieces needed for the block with no problem. So this is my first 9 patch. I will just pair it up with my background and color fabric. Let's just add my 4.5 inch square to the mix, and this is the kind of the sections ready for my first module of this block. I can put it away. and carry on with the chain piecing until I've got enough of those sections to put the blocks kind of together. And I will carry on because I need a few more obviously to show you the full block, and I will come back when I'm done all of the sewing and we're ready for the squaring up. So I finished sewing my pieces. So I've got my 9 patch which needs ironing, I've got my 4.5 inch square which is a part of the set, and I've got my 6.5 inch square sewn around with the 1/4 inch allowance. So to finish off the set before I can go to the ironing board, I just need to cut this square on diagonal in both directions. So that will be our basis for the half square triangles we need. And don't worry about to make it literally exactly on the lines there or on the diagonal, because they are coming with a lot of spare space around to what we need to cut it. So if you're just starting with this type of design where you need half square triangles, this is a good one to practice, because we will be squaring them up and there's a lot of spare there. So however you've stitched it and however you cut it in this point, there's still enough fabric to make it to what we need. So this is gonna be my set. I will go through all of my stack and do it exactly the same way. So it's 4.5 inch, my 9 patch ready to be ironed, and I just need to cut my half square triangles. The trick I've got, a small trick for ironing half square triangle, is that, let me just finish that one. When I take it to the iron board and open my half square triangle, you want to first pat that kind of middle section. You don't want to just straight away iron, because that will change how the fabric lays. It may bow here a little for you. So you want to open your half square triangle and just kind of pat it with your fingers, and then just put the iron from the top, and that will make it nice, flat and straight here for you. But the other thing is, I'm not that focused on the details, so even if it's a little bit bowing here, as far as later I can cut that square I need with the right size, that will be fine for me as well. You have to remember that when you wash your quilt, it's all gonna crinkle after the quilting anyway, so whatever straight lines you've got there, they're gonna be a little bit wavy anyway. So the quilting is quite forgiving if you think about it that way. Okay, so I finished my pile, get it to the iron, and then we'll be ready to square up some pieces so we can put that design together. Okay, I've got my blocks back from the ironing, nice and flat. So that's my pile, and I kind of will go through it and do what I need to do with certain pieces. So obviously there's nothing to do with my 9 patch, but with my solid 4.5 inch I actually need to carve it to 3.5. So just do it quickly. .3.5 inch square. Those pieces here, if you're collecting elements for crumb blocks, can be good. I also have got some tutorials how to kind of make nice braided design on the adding tape. I will link it in the description below, so that will be a nice addition to that box. So 3.5 inch square of the solid, and then I will also trim that to 3.5. It's good to have a ruler which got diagonal lines. So for the first cut, I will just align it and cut that one side. Like I said, that will have quite a lot of space, so you don't have to worry that you need to be very, very close to the edge. You just cut nice and straight. And then on the other side, again, I will just align my line here on diagonal, and then 3.5 and 3.5 inch here, and trim it again. So as you can see, there's plenty of fabric, so if something went wrong with your kind of first stitching of that big squares, you can fix it in this point. It will be nice and square, ready to add to the overall design. So I'll just square it all up in one go. I like batching my work because it goes quicker. So I will go through all of that pile and do it exactly the same thing. So all of those will be trimmed to 3.5, and I will be ready to show you how to put that block together. Okay, so all my elements have been now nicely trimmed and they are the right size. So let's take the first bit of the pile and we are ready to get the block set up. So this is one of 4 of kind of bigger modules you need for the one big block. So I'm starting from my 3.5 inch plain or solid square. Then across will be our 9 patch. Then I want to place my half square triangle with the solid towards the 9 patch, and I will do the same thing on the other side, kind of mirror image. And then I will place my next 3.5 inch half square triangle. So I've got that kind of chevron here, and I will do the same thing on this side. So here we go. This is how that a quarter of our final block will look like. So how is it the easier to stitch it? I will just put those two pieces together first, and then I will put those two pieces together. You can put back both of those pieces on the kind of your design space, or just the top one if you want to kind of carry on with the chain piecing. So if I put this one back, I am now ready to kind of make myself another 4 patch, really, because I will sew those two pieces together in the first run. Then I can add back this one in here and put my second one kind of section there. But if you feel a little bit confused, just take this one out and place it back on your design board. So let's sew this one together. Like I said, I will just put this one now back here. And I'm ready to place kind of this under. Here's my 4 patch now. Now I can take it out of the sewing, obviously turn it around and start stitching the other side, but instead of that I'll just lay my another block. So I've got my solid square, I've got my 9 patch, then I can carry on with my half square triangles here, have my chevron shape, here we go, chevron, chevron, here we go, and I will do the same thing. So I'm kind of taking full advantage of how I can chain those pieces together without losing also kind of sight of how they need to be done. So I can now take this bead out of the sewing. So here is my 4 patch ready to be stitched together, just one seam in the middle here. And obviously I will nest just at one section here where they're meeting. Now it's going to be easier because I can take away both of those pieces at the same time and place them back on the sewing space here, on the design space. Here we go, and I'm ready again to put my 4 patch together. And again, instead of the kind of cutting thread in between, I'm just carry on with another block. So this one, the first one section is ready here. That can go to the iron board straight away. This one, as soon as I start stitching this side, I can finish up this as a 4 patch, and I'm ready with another section. So I will carry on until all my stuff are stitched on, and I will pop the blocks on the design board. I will show you the block I was kind of starting from in my head, how I want the design to look like, but also maybe some other options we can work out from those individual modules. Before I show you my finished project, just a quick reminder where you can find me and how you can support my work. You can subscribe to my website to be notified when new tutorials, products or patterns are released. You can find me on my Facebook page, Pola Photo, or you can join my group page, Pola Quilting with Friends, where we all share work made inspired by my tutorials and answer any questions you may have. There is Instagram account called Pola Quilting, and if you like to share something you made based on my tutorials, please tag me using hashtag Pola Quilting with Friends. To support my work, please like, comment and share when you see my posts or tutorials. Let your quilting friends know about this channel and invite them to the group and subscribe to my channel. If you like to contribute extra, you can use super thanks on YouTube or buying me virtual tea, coffee or lunch available on my page. All links are in the description below. I would like to thank you all for all the support so far and letting me grow in what I do. Just to let you know, there is now another incentive to join my newsletter. So back in November, as you remember, I was one of the presenters on the Scrappy Summit, which was a great success. A lot of people happy with joining us. So I decided to make my own presentation available to those who join my newsletter. So once you confirm your subscription, you will receive a document with a link to my presentation. Be sure to save the document for future reference. And if you already joined my newsletter, a link to the presentation will be included in the next few newsletters, so you will have access to it as well. And here is the selection of the blocks I finished. All are very scrappy. I've used what I had in my magic number boxes. Obviously it doesn't have to be kids fabric. It can be, you know, flowery, it can be some bold designs, it can be you know, whatever you've got in your scrap buckets, it will work as well. If you replace the 9 patch with a crumb, that will look nice as well. So this is, you know, this is the magic of magic numbers, that you can really mix and match them with some other stuff you've got already and use them up. So this is the block where, how I imagined, you know, initially how I would like it to look. It's that solids create a secondary pattern in this block, and it will look different if you use different colors in each block, like here, but it will look very nice if you use the same color in all of your quilt, or perhaps just in one block at the time. So one block is the big block of 18 inches. But this block can be set up different way as well, so using those individual sections or modules, like I call them, you can create another layouts and another designs. So here are some examples for you to have a look at. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you will let your quilting friends know about this channel, and that is the best way you can support my channel, to make sure that everyone knows about it, and so I can grow and prepare even more tutorials for you to use up your scraps. Thank you very much for watching today, and see you next time. Thank you for watching. I hope you will share this tutorial, subscribe if you haven't done so. Happy sewing, and see you next time.